If you're like me, you probably find fails either absolutely heartbreaking or absolutely hilarious. So today, we're going to take a look at 10 epic fails in 2015. Although the concept of having an open world Mad Max game seemed like a good idea on paper, the execution left quite a bit to be desired. The game suffered from an uninteresting story and the same generic side missions that you can expect in almost every single open world game out there. It did a lot of things right, which is why it's only our number 10 spot. Our second fail on the list is actually a game we thought was going to be really good, and then it ended up being a huge disappointment. And of course, we're talking about Evolve. What could have been a fantastic isometric shooter ended up being a repetitive, dumbed-down game where most of the content is stuck behind a paywall. Yeah! And the game isn't even completely bad. There's some fun moments to be found there, but it's just not worth the money. Another game that falls into that same boat is The Order 1886 for the PlayStation 4. Yes, this game had amazing graphics, looking better than almost every other game ever created. But the gameplay just wasn't really there, with a storyline that really only lasted like 5 hours, filled with cutscenes and quick time events. Woo, yeah! This game almost feels like a movie, which isn't bad per se, but it wasn't really marketed as a movie. This game proves that gameplay will always be king over graphics. Star Wars Battlefront. I know I'll probably get a little bit of hate for this because it's Star Wars, and well, I'm a huge Star Wars fan myself. Sure, the graphics and sound are breathtaking, but they were breathtaking in The Order 1886 as well. Let's keep that in mind. However, the multiplayer, which is really the only aspect of the game, is pretty mediocre, and it feels like Battlefield with Star Wars characters. I mean, that's probably what it is, basically, to save some money. Yeah, come on, EA. I mean, what else are they really thinking about? Let's be honest here. I mean, no single player, and just a small amount of maps, and oh, $50 per season pass? Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Let's make this a over $100 video game. I mean, the game isn't bad, but I'm definitely not buying it. Next one on this list is Mario Party 10. Woohoo! And which feels like Nintendo just clearly doesn't understand this franchise. Oh my god, this game was This game has innovated in zero ways and has less minigames than the previous Mario Party games. If you already have Mario Party 9 or 8 or 7 or 6 or 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you know exactly what you're getting into, except it's a lot worse. It's just a whole lot worse, which is terrible. Come on. You're supposed to get better every single time, like Mario Kart, not just keep going back in time. There's just so many things wrong with Mario Party 10. Overall, it feels like they just needed to sell another Mario game, and they're like, you know what? Mario Party, woo! Yeah, it was a huge disappointment. Being able to create your own character and level them up was something that was completely new in Dragon Ball games, but even with that, Xenoverse just wasn't a lot of the game that people had hoped. This is because the most important aspect of the game is your fighting, and without a doubt, the fighting mechanics just weren't the best. The gameplay felt a little bit repetitive, and you would be able to take on any opponent with the exact same strategy. The only difference really is how many hits can they take before they're defeated. The game's leveling system starts to become pretty much of a grind pretty fast, and that's the last thing you want in a game. Sword Art Online Hollow Fragment was a big success on the Vita, but none of that success really transferred over to Sword Art Online Lost Song. Unfortunately, just like many other games on this list, it felt like a bit of a cash grab. I mean, I absolutely love Sword Art Online, and I know Rui absolutely loves this game, but overall I think the game was a little bit generic in terms of story, and the fighting itself was super simplistic, and the dungeons weren't that much of a challenge. Overall, this game could have been just so much more, especially on PlayStation 4. I felt like they had so much potential if they put in a little bit more money into it, and unfortunately, it just wasn't what I was hoping. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5. Man, this was almost an insult to the name Tony Hawk. With this game, the developers promised to go back to the old style that so many players, including me, love the game so much for. the amazing storyline adventures from Tony Hawk's Underground 1 and 2, and many secrets that those games had to offer. This game is filled with unneeded loading screens that often load up the same map multiple times just so you can do another challenge. Feels clunky and has some very big frame rate issues, especially on the user-generated maps. Too bad it had to be this way, Tony. You had an opportunity and you failed. I think it's safe to say that the game Godzilla went under the radar for a lot of gamers out there, and that's not without a reason. With a terrible story, clunky gameplay, and boring objectives, this may very well be one of the worst $60 games released this year. And then we haven't even talked about the graphics. This literally looks like a PlayStation 2 game. But issues people have with this game do not stop there. Unlocking new monsters on power-ups is a grind. Fighting other monsters is unbalanced to the point where you either kill them in 3 hits, or it's the other way around, and it takes you half an hour to finish a fight repeating the same attack over and over and over again. The fact that this game was $60 is absolutely disgusting. Blech, blech, blech. Literally puking in my mouth right now. Batman Arkham Knight may have been a very good game on the consoles, but the PC version, oh my god, what a disaster. Game crashes, FPS drops, missions not working properly, the list goes on. It was so bad that for the first time ever, a AAA game got pulled off Steam and was forced to offer unconditional refunds until the 31st of December this year. Although many things about the PC version have been fixed by now, everyone will always remember that this was one of the worst PC releases ever, and they'll think twice before they buy the next Batman game. So those were our top 10 fails in gaming in 2015. However, everyone's got their own idea of fails and what they think is funny or just downright heartbreaking. So let me know your top fail down below, or tweet it at me at DavidBrownTV. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time.